Hello, everyone. I'm LDJ11, and let's get into draft season. The Super Bowl is officially over, so the mock draft will have the proper first round. We're not going to do any trades in this one. It's mock draft 1.0 for the channel. I love doing these. I'm not going to pretend I'm the best scout in the world, but I watch as much film as I can find, and I watch a lot of college football, so I try to use that to judge players as well. And of course, I listen to industry experts who know a lot more than I do, and that's how I form my opinions. Let's get into this one. At pick number 1, the Chicago Bears are on the board. This is easy. It's Caleb Williams. This is probably going to be my pick throughout the process. I don't see it changing, honestly. I don't think he's quite the generational prospect people thought he was, but he's still a fantastic prospect. And at pick number 2, the Washington Commanders are going to take Drake May. Jaden Daniels worries me because of his size, so for me, I think May will be over Daniels. Plus, May's supporting cast was far inferior. You've seen what happened with Tez Walker at the Senior Bowl, and he was by far the best playmaker on that North Carolina team. So when people judge him and say, well, look at Daniels' numbers, well, yeah, Daniels has 2 first-round receivers currently, plus future players that'll probably end up being first or second-round picks on his team. Of course, he's going to be able to put up better stats. So I go with May at number 2. That hasn't changed for me. At pick number 3, the New England Patriots are on the clock, and they are my favorite team for the entirety of my life. I was born in New England. I just grew up a Patriots fan because of that. I'm going to give them Jaden Daniels. I have questions about his size. He's way too thin. I'm worried about his play style. He's pretty reckless, and that's something that just gives me pause. But for now, I think I have to go with Daniels. At pick number 4, the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. Marvin Harrison, all day, best receiver in the class. At pick number 5, you have the LA Chargers on the clock, and I have questions about this one. I would not be shocked if they go edge if they're high on Dallas Turner. I think they could use a lot of help there opposite of Bosa, and I don't think Khalil Mack will be back, honestly. And, in the past, Harbaugh wasn't afraid to build through defense. He believes in defense and running game, so I have questions about giving him Malik Neighbors, but that's where I'm going to go because I think he's the best option at this point. At pick 6, the New York Giants are on the clock. Rome Odunze is going to be my pick here. I think Brock Bowers is a good player, but tight ends are always questionable in the NFL, so he's going to fall. I just don't think he goes this high. At pick 7, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. They're going to go ahead and draft offensive tackle Joe Alt of Notre Dame. He's got the highest floor, and I think he can be a really good tackle. He'll be a steady Eddie guy and somebody that'll probably start in the league for 10 years. So that'll be a solid pick at number 7. At pick 8, the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock, and I really debated giving him a quarterback here. J.J. McCarthy gets a lot of hype from the NFL community. I just think it's a little too early. That's my opinion. I think with new head coach Raheem Morris, Dallas Turner is going to be the selection. He's a bendy edge rusher and somebody that I think gets pushed up the board, and more will be expected of him once he develops. He still requires a little bit of development. At pick 9, the Chicago Bears are back on the clock. Caleb Williams obviously went at number 1. So what do they do here? Well, I don't think they need the tackle help everybody thinks they do. I believe they need edge help, and I think Montez Sweat is a good player. I think Jared Verse is a good pairing. I'm high on Verse still. I believe that he belongs up in top 10. I think people honestly forget a little bit, and sometimes being a top prospect coming into the year plays against you. I think, that's going to happen a lot with Olu Fashanu as well, honestly. And he's going to be my pick here at number 10. I don't see how the Jets can pass on him. They need a pass protector for Aaron Rodgers. He's probably one of the best pass protectors in this class. He needs to work on his run blocking, but I think he'll be a good player for the New York Jets and somebody that people are a little too down on right now. At pick number 11, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. I do not believe they're going to let Kirk Cousins leave their building. So looking at their needs, they do need edge. Let's look at the edge. Well, you have Layout 2, Lot 2, and Chop Robinson here. That is an option. Just not sure that Lot 2 can go this high because of his injury history. Robinson, honestly, just not that high on him. I don't think they're going to go QB, so let's look at the corner class. And I think it's a really good class for corners. So for me, it's Terry and Arnold. He's going to be the pick. He's the top corner in the class. It's close between him and Quinyon Mitchell for me, but he's going to go at number 11 to the Minnesota Vikings. At pick 12, the Denver Broncos are on the clock, and for them, it's pretty easy. They're going to go J.J. McCarthy. The NFL's higher on him, and I think Sean Payton believes he'll be able to develop him. And him already being coached by a former NFL head coach and now current NFL head coach Jim Harbaugh, I think is going to play in its factor with a guy like Sean Payton. So at pick 13, the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. And here, a lot of people don't think they're going to go quarterback, but I don't see how they continue on with who they have at quarterback. Unless they trade for Justin Fields, there's not an answer on their team. They have to get somebody. So I'm going to give them Bo Nix. I wouldn't take Nix this high, but the NFL does like him, and honestly, you gotta get somebody in there, so I'm going to give him Nix. They would have been happy if McCarthy fell to him. At pick 14, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. And if you look at the available board, I think they need a right tackle because Ryan Ramczyk has some injury issues with his knees. So I'm going to give him Talise Fuaga out of Oregon State. At pick 15, the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. A lot of people like to give him Brock Bowers. My biggest issue with that is I don't think that's a Chris Ballard pick. I think a guy like Quinyon Mitchell, who's on Bruce Feldman's freak list and will probably blow up the combine, is the type of player the Indianapolis Colts would like. So Quinyon Mitchell, the corner out of Toledo, is going to end up going to the Colts. At pick number 16, the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. The Seahawks are an interesting team. I think you have to wonder how many of their picks were driven by Pete Carroll versus John Snyder. And I think Mike McDonald coming in as the new head coach could change the way they look at people. So I'm looking at Laiatu Latu and Chop Robinson here. I think it's a little early for Chop, but we're going to give him Chop because I think McDonald coming from the Ravens are going to want them athletic edge rushers that he currently has like Odafe Owe. So that's why I'm going Chop. At pick 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. I think they need a lot of help in the secondary. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and give them Cooper DeJean. He's one of my favorite players in this class. Yes, he is a white corner and everybody points that out, but he was an athletic freak in high school and people need to look that up. And I think they'll find out that this man's plenty athletic to be an outside corner. And Jacksonville could use a player like that. At pick 18, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. This is where I think Brock Bowers, he has to be picked by this point. He is a really good player. He could honestly go much higher than this, but I'm just not sure that he will. So Cincinnati takes him here, and I think Joe Burrow will be able to utilize him. At pick number 19, the LA Rams are on the clock. They need to add some help on their defense here. So for them, you look CB, edge. They say offensive tackle, but I'm not sure they take one in the first round or quarterback. I'm a little bit lower on that one. I'm going to go ahead and say they're going to address CB. With Nate Wiggins still on the board, they're going to take him off here. At pick 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock. They need a quarterback bad. Veteran route is probably the way they go, and I'm not sure Penix gets into the first round because of his injury history. So as badly as I want to put him here, I can't do it. I just think it's too rich, honestly, at this point. I think they could use a right tackle, and I'm going to give him J.C. Latham. He's a mauling big guy. I question him a little bit. I didn't love what I seen from him when he played for Alabama. I thought he made a lot of mistakes, but I also am not the best at looking at O-linemen. They don't always catch my eye, and like I said, I don't have the all-22 film on all these colleges, so I have a hard time finding it out. I have to watch TV copies that I can find out there, but I didn't love Latham, but a lot of people do, so I'm going to give him the Pittsburgh here at 20. At pick number 21, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock, and I believe they need an interior O-line. That's their biggest need, and for them, I'm going to go ahead and actually give them. This is a tough decision, actually. You got Troy Fontenot, you got Jackson Powers-Johnson, and you have Graham Barton. Powers-Johnson has some injury stuff that worries me a little bit, so he might have to slide down the board. So I'm gonna go ahead and give them Troy Fontenot here. Might be a little earlier than he goes, but to me, he makes the most sense. Philadelphia's on the clock here at number 22. Well, what do they need? Honestly, it seems like they need a lot, and I think across the O-line's one of their biggest things. And even though I just said, there's some questions, this and that, about Jackson Powers-Johnson, he makes some sense for the Eagles. I think they need help on the interior O-line. So for me, I don't think Owie goes there, though. But for me, I go probably Graham Barton or Jackson Powers-Johnson with this pick if I'm the Eagles. I'm just not sure that's what the Eagles will do, honestly. I think with Brandon Graham getting a little bit older, they go Laiatu Latu as long as the medicals check out. That's the big question, and his slide ends. At pick 23, the Houston Texans are on the clock. The Texans need help at receiver. They had a lot of luck this year, and I think Nico Collins and Tank Dell both played up. I think you had another guy like Brian Thomas Jr., and I think that offense will be cooking for years to come with CJ Stroud. At pick 24, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. Amarius Mims, easy selection here. Play him at tackle if you don't re-sign Tyron Smith, or let him develop and bring back Tyron Smith for one more year. I honestly think he could use it. At pick 25, the Green Bay Packers are on the clock. I'm going to go ahead and give them Tyler Guyton. I think he makes the most sense. They need help at tackle. David Bakhtiari, he's not the future. They did okay this year, and I forget who their left tackle was right off the top of my head, but he actually produced a lot better than people thought. At right tackle, Zach Tom was pretty good too, so I think he's okay. At pick 26, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock, and I'm a season ticket holder for the Bucs, and I'm a huge Bucs fan. So for me, a lot of people like to give him a receiver or edge. I think they still need to build up this interior O-line, honestly. And you look at the edge class at who's available, there's nobody that I'd want to take at this point. So I go back to the all board and I look at who's available. Keon Coleman, maybe. A Byron Murphy would be really interesting. Jerzon Newton. I'm not high on Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think he's going to be too slow. So for me, looking at who's available, I go Jackson Powers Johnson and play him at guard or center. I think that at left guard, Aaron Stinney's been okay, but he's not a long-term answer. And I do believe at center, there's also questions. So there's a chance he could even still play center for the Buccaneers. At pick 27, Arizona's back in the clock. They got Marvin Harrison at pick number 4. So what do they want to do here? Well, Jonathan Gannon's a defensive guy traditionally. I'm going to go ahead and have him take Byron Murphy and add him to the class. At pick 28, Buffalo's on the clock. They need a receiver pretty badly, honestly. And I also think they need help at corner. People don't put enough out there of how bad their corners actually are, in my opinion. And, you know, everybody loves Trey White, but he can't stay healthy. So unfortunately, you just can't count on him. So it kind of is what it is. Having said that, I think I'm going to go ahead and give them Troy Franklin, a receiver out of Oregon. I'm a little higher on him than what I am on Keon Coleman. I'm just not sure that he can separate well enough. And I've seen a guy like N'Keal Harry not work out for the Patriots, so that raises major red flags. Yes, he is more athletic, but I'm just not sure about Keon Coleman. At pick 29, the Detroit Lions are on the clock. Well, they like just good football players. At the end of the day, the Lions are always going to take people who are good football players. So for me, I think there's a chance they could lose Jonah Jackson across their O-line. He's going to be a free agent. I'm giving him Graham Barton. I think he'll be a good player. He could have a little bit of flexibility, even though they really don't need help at tackle. And if Frank Ragnow keeps getting injured at center, a lot of people like Dane Brugler and even Daniel Jeremiah think he could play center. So here you go. That's the perfect guy to fill in. At pick number 30, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. I think they need a corner bad. I don't know why. Just every time I watch them, that's what I feel. I just am not sure that I would take either one of these guys with this pick. So let's go back to the all and look at what else is needed. Well, I do think you could stand to add another wide receiver. Do I think Keon Coleman's a fit? Maybe. I'm just not sure. Do I think that Jordan Morgan could be a fit? Maybe, but I think if they need a tackle, they need somebody who can replace Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, and I'm not sure Jordan Morgan can do that. He has some questions about his size and his length, and I don't think I take a guy like Kingsley Suamataia in the first round. Not yet. I'm not at that point. Patrick Paul's not ready. So with the Ravens, they're a team that would traditionally probably trade down in this spot, honestly. But since we can't do that, they have a chance of losing Justin Madubuike. Jerzon Newton's here. Johnny Newton. He's going to go to Baltimore. At pick 31, San Francisco's on the clock. They need help across the O-line. I'm giving them Jordan Morgan. I think he's a good first-round pick here late. They just need help across that O-line, honestly. And at pick 32, your Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, are on the clock. They need a wide receiver, and a lot of people think they're going to take one in the first round. Here's the thing. Looking at these receivers, maybe you think of an Adonai Mitchell or a Keon Coleman here. But I do think if they wanted to move up in the second round, there's some options. Like, I like Jalen Polk out of Washington. I like Roman Wilson. I like Ricky Pearsall from my Florida Gators. So I think they have options. So for me, we're going to go back to the all board and see what else Kansas City could get. Well, a guy like Kool-Aid McKinstry, probably if he's available here, unless he runs as slow as I'm scared of him running, is going to be the pick. They have the chance of losing L'Jarius Sneed. I'm going to give him Kool-Aid McKinstry to finish out this class. So that's the complete mock draft. I want to know what you guys thought of it. I think that overall I did okay for my first one. I'm not totally sure if this is how it'll shake out in the end. It's still very early in the process. This is all done pre-combine. And post-combine, you know, you're going to see updates, and I'll have more mock drafts coming out now that we're out of football season and my weekends are a little freer. I'm watching a little bit more college film as I can Google it and find it through back channels because I don't have access to it directly. So I'm LDJ11. I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more mock drafts this season. Have a great day, and I'm out.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar.